following is a presentation of Main Street Media, your source for news, sports, and information on Main Street in Middle Tennessee. It's time now for the Main Street Preps This Week podcast with your host, Russell Vanozzi and Tyler Palmatier, covering high school sports all across Middle Tennessee. Time now to find out what's happening this week on Main Street in Prep Sports. Here are your hosts, Russell Vanozzi and Tyler Palmatier.
Welcome back to another episode of Main Street Preps This Week. I'm Russell Vanozzi, joined as always by my counterpart, Tyler Palmatier, who looks like he's getting some caffeine here on this early Tuesday morning. Tyler, how are you feeling so far today?
Pretty good. I'm kind of always drinking caffeine, so that's not too unusual. But in the mornings, definitely, you'll probably see me about 3/4 of the time with a cup in my hand. Just so everybody knows, that's just a little, deeper dive into my personal life.
Somehow I operated for about the first 23 or 24 years of my life without drinking caffeine on a regular basis, but those days are gone now.
That's tough
to fully function, especially in a work environment. You got to have something to get you going.
Right.
So that's
right.
Glad you're in good shape there. And we've got an interesting show lined up for today. First off, we're going to hit some of the Nashville area high school sports headlines. Then we're going to speak with Franklin girls flag football coach Donnie Webb, and we'll wrap it all up with a discussion about how the Tennessee Vols are faring on the football recruiting trail here in Middle Tennessee. And speaking of that, Tyler, let's kick it off right here with the big news. Caleb Herring, the state's top 2023 prospect, announced his commitment to Tennessee on Tuesday, and that was a huge get for the Vols there. You were able to speak with Riverdale coach Will Kreisky in the moments after that yesterday at that recruiting fair. What did he have to say about Caleb's decision to head to Tennessee and to join his brother, Elijah, who's already a linebacker there for the Vols?
Yeah, I mean, he kind of just talked about how Caleb is obviously the brother of Elijah Herring, who played linebacker at Riverdale and also went to Tennessee. So that, right, I mean, that figured to play a factor. But I think he mentioned that they're different guys. Obviously, they have different personalities. I think Caleb went out and sought out some other options, or certainly entertained some other options, but it's a pretty close family, and UT was able to pick up Caleb. Huge get for Tennessee. Caleb Herring he's a player. He's built like a future edge rusher in college football.
Yeah, it's easy to see why he's so highly ranked and why so many teams wanted him. I mean, he's kind of his build, the 6'6", kind of 220 frame with this. As fast and athletic as he is, I mean, that's kind of the exact mold of a player that you need in today's game. With the way that the passing is, you've got to have those guys coming off the end and from the linebacker spot. Somebody that can kind of do both, play up front in the linebacker spot and put pressure on the quarterback. I mean, you saw this year with the Titans. I mean, that's been the big thing for years. They haven't had a pass rush, and so their defense suffered because of it. And this year, they go out, they get Bud Dupree, they get Danico Autry. Jeffrey Simmons continues to improve, and all of a sudden, look, now they've got a great defense. So that'll be pretty neat in a few years if both Caleb and Elijah get to start for the Vols and play together. I'm sure that'll make for a great story there. But otherwise, Tyler, it's hard to believe, but we've only got 2 weeks left in the spring sports regular season. It's flown by here, especially with, a third of the nights getting rained out, but you put together a nice piece with kind of some of the events to look forward to the rest of the month. What were some of the ones that stood out to you when you were going through and making that?
Well, there's a lot. I think the baseball games obviously kind of all, they're pretty important. I mean, they're all very baseball, soccer, softball. You're talking about postseason positioning at this point. So I think we've only got 2 weeks left to April. I mean, CPA Lipscomb Academy, that baseball series is just stacked with future Division I players and just college players at large. So, I mean, that's kind of the one that stood out. I think there's some awesome players in that series. CPA won that first game yesterday, so that one stood out. Kind of looking down. Shoot, let me see. I'm trying to remember which all NBA, CPA baseball will be important in that same in that same league too. And in flag football, I think it's neat that, the top teams are all going to meet. The top 4 teams are all going to meet on the final weekend of the regular season before that championship tournament on May 7th. I thought that was kind of cool. I mean, it's a sanctioned, or at this point, kind of they're trying to get it sanctioned, but it's a pilot season. So it couldn't have worked out any better for a sport that's trying to find its footing to have a little bit of, a little bit of what have you, not drama, but, so it's a little bit tense on that final weekend. Maybe that I thought that was neat. I like the grade 8 track meet too. Last year, I thought that was an awesome event. It was at Harpeth Hall last year. It's at Father Ryan this year. And it's really just, it's an invitation. You gotta be invited. You gotta have one of the best scores in the state to get in, or times. And, it's one flight, I don't believe there's any prelims. You go straight to the finals. That's a pretty fun event. So it's pretty exciting for regular season track. So that was another one that kind of caught my attention on the schedule.
Well, that should be enough to keep us busy over these next couple weeks. And, you mentioned the Division II baseball scene a little bit here in Nashville, and man, it's strong this year. In Division II Single A, you've got Good Pasture, who I got to see earlier this week. They're 21-2. And then over in Division II AA, CPA is kind of running away with it, 19-4-1 there with one tie. Of course, Lipscomb in the mix as well, NBA in the mix. And then on the Division II Single A side, you've got Grace Christian down there in Franklin. Got their record over here. I believe it's 24-4. So just some really great private school baseball being played here. And I think that move of CPA from Division II Single A to Division II AA has kind of opened the door for Good Pasture and some other teams down there in the Single A division, and maybe close some doors for the teams up there in the AA division.
Yeah, that was impressive what they did to a really good DCA team. I mean, just rolled up DCA on Monday of this week, and that's a good baseball team. I mean, shoot, I was surprised by that result, to be honest.
Yeah, so there's definitely going to be some private school teams from the Nashville area that make it to spring fling. It's just kind of a matter of who can get through that tournament setting. It's always tough when you run into a tough pitcher here or there, but so far so good for Good Pasture, CPA, GCA, and NBA, and a few others as well. So it should be fun to see how that shakes out. But first, we are going to head to a break, and then after that, we will get into our coach interview with Donnie Webb.
Mid-Tennessee Bone & Joint treats your orthopedic injuries and existing conditions. Our trained physicians will get you back in the game faster. Contact us at 931-381-2663 or www.mtbj.net. Hey folks, while we take a quick break from the show, I want to tell you about our friends over at Custom Stone Handlers in downtown Columbia. Ed Rich and his team at Custom Stone Handlers believe in leadership. And outside of the military, our greatest leader building platform is sports. Custom Stone Handlers proudly encourages young people to get in the game. You can contact them today at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50-plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion Christian Academy, ZionEagles.org or 931-388-5731. You can schedule your appointment. Go tour their campus. It is beautiful over there, and you're definitely going to want to see it. Again, it's ZionEagles.org. Give them a call, 931-388-5731, and schedule your tour today.
Are you an enthusiastic sports fan? Want to have fun and get in on the action?
Heck yes, that'd be awesome.
Have great attention to detail? Want to stay active?
Definitely.
Want to give back to the student athletes in your community?
Obviously, yes.
Then you'd make an excellent high school sports official. We need more officials in Tennessee, because with no high school officials, there are no high school sports. Sign up today at highschoolofficials.com.
Mid-Tennessee Bone & Joint has been the official sports medicine provider for Maury County Schools for more than 40 years. We specialize in orthopedic injuries, and our Ortho Quick walk-in service lets you bypass the ER. Visit us online at www.mtbj.net.
Nobody covers high school sports like Main Street Preps, bringing you the hyper-local coverage of the teams and athletes in your backyard. Wherever your Main Street is, we've got a podcast for you. From the Sumner County Sports Podcast with Zach Womble, Casey's Take on Sports with Dixon Post and Cheatham County Exchange's sports reporter Casey Patrick, the MSP North Podcast with Brady McAtamney and Blaine Keller covering Montgomery and Robertson counties, to Main Street Preps this week with Russell Vanozzi and Tyler Palmatier with a macro view of prep sports all across Middle Tennessee. Find the latest prep news from your Main Street at mainstreetpreps.com and find these podcasts dropping weekly on these Main Street Media social platforms and wherever you get your podcast. Now, back to the Main Street Preps This Week podcast. Your hosts, Russell and Tyler.
It's time now to welcome in former Franklin 11-man football coach and current girls flag football coach, Donnie Webb. Donnie, you doing okay this morning?
Yes, sir. How about yourself?
Doing well. Appreciate you joining us. And Donnie, we want to dive into the flag football season here. I know so far so good for Franklin. You guys are 6-0, 3 weeks in the books, and one more regular season week to go before the playoffs go down at Nissan Stadium the first weekend in May. How much fun has this been so far for you guys, Donnie? Have the girls really enjoyed this experience?
Oh, it's just been it's been a blast. I mean, there's no other way to put it. We said it over and over. I've heard many of the other coaches say the same thing that I'm just going to repeat. It's just pure fun, and pure in the fact that it's not tainted by outside things. Where it's truly athletes that are. This isn't their goal, let's say, for maybe the next level or for what they want to do in life, but they're just coming together and having fun.
Yeah, I have heard nothing but good things about the pilot program. If you're new to the program or the show, this is flag football in Tennessee. Obviously, this is just whatever. Let's call it a practice round, or at least initially that's what it was planned to be. With cooperation from the Titans and Williamson County Schools, this is supposed to be just sort of the pilot season. But I have just the feedback's been so good, Donnie. Some of that is also from you. It's hard for me to believe this doesn't have a little bit of momentum to become a sport here in Tennessee. But one of the interesting things I was like, what offenses are people going to run? And you guys, Franklin, you're running the option. Could you tell us that story of how you guys decided to run the option and how has that offense kind of improved over the course of your season?
Yeah, to be honest, we had our initial meetings at the school and to get girls that were interested, and it was overwhelming the amount of girls that wanted to participate. We here at Franklin did not want to. We want this to happen. It's going. I have no doubt in my mind it's going to happen. Just because I can see, I think TWS is going to love it and jump in with it, and I think it will do nothing but expand. And in the process so we decided that we did not want to alienate at all another TWSAA spring sport that involved these ladies. And so most of us, I'm sure a lot of them are doing like we are here. We're practicing at night. We're going after the other practices, trying to go around their games, which obviously is a lot went on Sundays. And to answer your question, I got the rule book. We started having quote unquote tryouts because I didn't want to cut anybody. I wanted, if this was truly going to be a pilot, I wanted them to want to stay with it and play the next year, or you kind of crush the pilot year one. And so we were trying I did not want to have cuts. And so we started throwing the ball around, and let's be honest, it's not a knock on any female at all. I've loved this more than coaching boys, to be honest with you. It's just not a natural throw for them because they don't do it all as often. And so we started looking at the rules and said, well, a fumble, it stops. So what if we just started pitching the ball? And so we started kind of listening to the Titans when they gave us a little clinic. And so we just kind of took the plays that we would use in 11-man football and adapted them to we're always going to have a pitch man and turn it into some kind of an option, which basically looks like a speed option / triple option.
Well, it certainly seems like that discovery has helped you guys win some games so far. And along those lines, Donnie, is there anything about this new league that has surprised you? You know, whether it's you said obviously a lot of players came out to try out, and it's been a competitive league so far. But is there anything at all that maybe you weren't expecting when you kind of signed up to be the coach of this team?
Well, two things right off the bat. Number one is really impressed with how athletic the girls are in Williamson County in general, let alone just Franklin High School. We really have some really good athletes on our team. I mean, Liza Paisley's going to play soccer at Belmont. There's everything from cheerleaders on the team to volleyball players to softball players, and of course the track ladies as well. And so they're doing a lot of multiple things. So in year one, it was actually good that our practice time is very limited because you don't want to overtrain these girls, because I'm telling you that this was the other part of the thing. When they come to me and when they come to us for practice, they're wanting to practice more. They're wanting to stay longer. They're wanting to, can we go another day? And I say all that, it really is. They truly are loving it. And I think it can be a great thing for females into the next, beyond high school, because we all know when we go to these colleges, you know, there's female help all over the athletic, the football programs, and then let alone, you know, now opportunity to play a game at the next level, which they're going to eventually start doing in college as well.
Yeah, and I think what people maybe are going to find out, Donnie, if they haven't yet, this is new to me, but there's flag football at the college level. You can play NAIA women's flag football, so it can actually eventually be an avenue for women who want to go play this sport at the college level, which is, you know, that was new to me. I certainly didn't know that before this year. What is your gut feeling about where this is headed here, Donnie? I think you kind of mentioned that you do think it can take off quickly here, but could you maybe say why? And could you tell us, is there any one thing that you think has to happen to get it over the hump and for this to be a sport?
Well, obviously, it's got to move to another county, and then, which is my understanding. I don't want to say for sure because I don't know exactly, but I do know that they're adding another county next year, and they may already be out there, but I don't want to be the one to say it and then they go another route. So, but I do know they are adding another county next year, and Coach Joins, our county athletic director, has told me and several other coaches several times that he was getting multiple calls early from surrounding counties wanting to, well, can we start our own and play y'all? So I see the interest is there, and I'm telling you that yes, it's a pilot, and we keep using the word fun, but it really gets physical, which tells, and the physical part comes out of the competition. I think that is some of the because it is all inter-county with us in this first year, and so the competition shows me that there is want for more, if that makes sense. So I believe it's going to go.
And Donnie, you were the Franklin football coach for almost a decade before stepping away last year. And I'm curious, has this experience sparked anything for you as far as getting back into coaching? Or I know you kind of alluded to the fact that you're almost having more fun doing the girls flag football thing, but has that filled the void there for you? Or is there a chance that in the future you'll jump back into the 11-man boys football world?
I tell these ladies after every practice, after every game, that it does the win and loss. I mean, yeah, obviously it's really fun for them right now because they haven't had a loss yet. And we all get and understand that. But I tell them they're doing way more for me than I'm ever doing for them. And between myself and Coach Michaela Beebe is an assistant. She's also the volleyball coach here. And Coach Tucker Cathy is an assistant. He's also the girls wrestling coach. And he coaches football as well. But it was a connection with female sports to help me through that part. And then, you know, I always knew I did the right thing. I had a daughter playing freshman volleyball, and I don't mix with football, 11-man football. And now she's playing flag football. So, yeah, it did. You know, it's not about me, but it did help me, and it made me love coaching. And these ladies are awesome. And if you have not, I'm telling people they need to come out and see a game because it really, really is. It's just a cool thing.
Hey, Donnie, we're going to get you out of here, man. Thanks for joining us, and good luck as you know, this is crunch time. This is crunch time in your guys' season. So you guys are on top. Franklin's atop the standings here with 1 weekend in the regular season to go. And then, of course, we've got the championships at Nissan Stadium, I believe, May 5th. Is that right?
May 7th, yeah.
May 7th. Okay. Yeah. Well, best of luck, Donnie. Thanks for joining us.
I appreciate it. It's the other part of the football, and I know I got to get out of y'all's hair. It's been really cool watching Stu running the option, and Hannah Harvey happens to be our quarterback. She's a senior cheerleader on top of that, soccer, and it's really cool to watch her progress. And I hope the rest of them enjoy it and we stay on top.
Absolutely. Well, thanks again, Donnie.
That's a four-sport athlete.
Yeah, you don't see too many of those, do you, Tyler? That's quite a – I guess she probably doesn't have a whole lot of time to watch TV and to just hang out at the house. Sounds like that's a lot of after-school activities to do. But anyways, we are going to head to another break, and then we will come back with our final discussion here on Main Street Preps this week.
Mid-Tennessee Bone & Joint treats your orthopedic injuries and existing conditions. Our trained physicians will get you back in the game faster. Contact us at 931-381-2663 or www.mtbj.net. Hey folks, while we take a quick break from the show, I want to tell you about our friends over at Custom Stone Handlers in downtown Columbia. Ed Rich and his team at Custom Stone Handlers believe in leadership. And outside of the military, our greatest leader building platform is sports. Custom Stone Handlers proudly encourages young people to get in the game. You can contact them today at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50-plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion Christian Academy, ZionEagles.org or 931-388-5731. You can schedule your appointment. Go tour their campus. It is beautiful over there, and you're definitely going to want to see it. Again, it's ZionEagles.org. Give them a call, 931-388-5731, and schedule your tour today. today.
Are you an enthusiastic sports fan? Want to have fun and get in on the action?
Heck yes, that'd be awesome.
Have great attention to detail? Want to stay active?
Definitely.
Want to give back to the student athletes in your community?
Obviously, yes.
Then you'd make an excellent high school sports official. We need more officials in Tennessee, because with no high school officials, there are no high school sports. Sign up today at highschoolofficials.com.
Mid-Tennessee Bone & Joint has been the official sports medicine provider for Maury County Schools for more than 40 years. We specialize in orthopedic injuries, and our Ortho Quick walk-in service lets you bypass the ER. Visit us online at www.mtbj.net.
From Preps to Pros, Main Street Sports Today has you covered weekdays at 2 o'clock on all of these Main Street media outlets, as well as wherever you get your podcast. Join the Hall of Famer and Sports Writer of the Year, Mo Patton, and the Sundrop Kid from Alabama, Chris Yao, along with producer JP Plant, as they talk about all things from preps to pros. Today, on this Wednesday, Heather Williams from WCYB TV in Bristol will talk a little NASCAR, and as always, this day in Braves history with Mo Patton and so much more. It is Wild and Wacky Wednesday. Tune in 2 o'clock weekdays on all of these Main Street media platforms. Now, back to Main Street Preps this week with Tyler and Russell.
As much as it's spring sports season, it's also football recruiting season. This is just a time when a lot of 2023 prospects have been making decisions, and of course, none bigger than Caleb Herring on Tuesday heading to Tennessee. And that kind of opens up the question here, Tyler. Tennessee seems like they're maybe making some inroads here in the Nashville area that they did not have last year after the whole Jeremy Pruitt debacle, and then they transitioned to Josh Heupel. They didn't really have a whole lot of time to do the legwork on the 2022 class, and they definitely suffered there. But it seems like that's starting to improve a little bit here.
Yeah, I bet. I mean, I remember I was at the Wade's, Destin and Keaton Wade's commitment announcement there at Summit when they announced their commitment, and it was Tennessee made a big push at them. I mean, that was an important. I want to say target, but it's two targets. But it's a package deal with the Wade. So, but that was an important coup for Josh Heupel that he wasn't able to get. They obviously go to Kentucky. And I just have to wonder, did Tennessee fans at that point think, where do we stand with in-state guys? I know that Heupel had just come in, but you really just want to keep the best players in your home state around. There's nothing fan bases hate more than watching some guy go, to a border state or farther to go win for somebody else. So all of a sudden, I bet UT fans are feeling much, much better with the Herring commitment. Because that's a really good defender. That's a really good edge rusher that now you have with good credentials that's going to be able to come in a few years, make a difference on your defense. Probably a breath of, or they could probably breathe a sigh of relief now, because he's not the only one, Russell, as you know.
Yeah, there's several others there. And Nathan Robinson, of course, from Greenbrier, defensive end. Aiden Bussell from Mount Juliet, offensive tackle. They're both in the top 15 of the 24/7 Sports composite rankings for 2023. And so obviously Herring at number one was a huge get, because in 2022, they didn't have anybody in the top 10 in the state that went to Tennessee. Everybody went elsewhere in the top 10, and I think mostly the top 15 as well. So I think in this era where everybody's hopping in the transfer portal at the first sign of trouble, it's even more important to get these local guys that maybe grew up with. Maybe they grew up as Tennessee fans. Maybe their neighbors or their high school coach grew up as a Tennessee fan. They're going to feel maybe a little more connected to the program. They don't feel the need to transfer back home because they're already home, versus if you're from California or Oklahoma or whatever, and you're here, this might just be another stop on kind of your football journey. So, and to a lesser extent, I think Vanderbilt is working on the same thing, and they're starting to have some success in Nashville, trying to undo some of the damage of a winless season, and everybody here having kind of a front row to that. Now they've got Langston Patterson going there. Kane Patterson, his brother, transferred in from Clemson. Ethan Crisp, Mount Juliet linebacker, is heading there next year. They're starting to just kind of get some momentum locally, and I think that's a huge thing because Nashville is almost like a miniature version of Atlanta when it comes to football recruiting. It's a place where you've got to have some sort of presence, especially if you're Vanderbilt or Tennessee, and that's what they seem to be doing now under Clark Lee and Josh Heupel, respectively.
Yeah, I should also note Nate Spillman, the Tennessee commitment. His brother is going to be a key recruit too in years to come. So a lot of this is about relationships. You have to. Recruiting is just, it's not about one class. It's about the 5 classes after that. You know, if you feel like you have a future at the school. So Heupel building those relationships in schools and then being able to come back in 3 years and do well with another prospect there is a big part of this too. So if you're not making inroads with those schools, you have to wonder, are you going to be in play for elite recruits down the road that are from those schools? And they're going to pop up here. You just, that's a fact. They're going to pop up, and Heupel's going to want them. You just don't want them going to like Alabama or Georgia or anything. So that's kind of the importance of just owning your state. They get somewhere else, they could go help. They could literally help somebody else go win a national championship. And that's just that's kind of the bottom line. The SEC that's as good as the players have been, and Nashville's certainly getting its share. So good for UT. Good for Josh Heupel.
And somewhat good for Vanderbilt as well. So it would be great to see how this 2023 class shapes up. Certainly a lot of talent here in the Nashville area, and we'll be covering it all over at mainstreetpreps.com, where we'll also be keeping up with spring sports and everything else that's going on. So thanks again for joining us, and we'll see you back here next time on Main Street Preps This Week.
This has been Main Street Preps This Week with your hosts, Russell Vanozzi and Tyler Palmatier. Follow them on Twitter at Main Street Preps. Follow Russell at RussellV_MSP and Tyler at TPalmatier83, and always online at MainStreetPreps.com. Main Street Preps This Week is a Main Street Media production.